Hello and welcome to the session on finding the golden nugget, customer knowledge. In this session, you will learn what customer knowledge is, how to acquire customer knowledge, how to make sense of knowledge you have collected, and in the end, how you can use this knowledge for your businesses. In general, there are three types of customer knowledge: knowledge for customers, knowledge about customers, and knowledge from customers. Knowledge for customer is the knowledge that a firm should provide to the customers in order to assist them making a purchase decision. Imagine that you are a startup selling fermented kombucha drink, then you will need to have knowledge about your products. For example, how the drink is made, where the raw materials are sourced, etc. In order for your customers, in this case the consumer, to want to purchase your products among all the other drinks available on the market. At the same time, it is important for you to have knowledge about your customers. For example, who they are, why they purchase your product, and how is their purchasing experience. This knowledge can help you to better understand customer need, so you can better identify their future desires, changing tastes, and trends. In this way, you have the possibility to continuously improve your product and services catering to your customers. As a company, you can also acquire knowledge from customers. Customers are one of the strongest sources of knowledge, and they are core to the innovation processes. Knowledge gained from customers can be quite implicit and therefore need to be internalized and become explicit. From the kombucha drink example, you may realize the difference between the concept of customer and of consumer. Customer refers to an individual or business that purchases your goods or services. So for the kombucha drink firm, it can be supermarket chain or retailers, catering companies. But of course, also consumers. Consumer generally refers to an individual organization that uses or consumes goods or services. In this case, consumers are the individuals who buy the drink and consume it. When we think about customer knowledge, we need to be aware that it is not only about consumers, but customers of your company and businesses. It is usually a wider category than consumers. So how can you acquire customer knowledge if they are important to the success of a business? Customer knowledge can be acquired from both primary and secondary research. Primary research refers to the data collection and processes that are done by yourself, while the secondary research is mainly to look through the research and data that are already available out there. It is possible to start with an overall direction and be explorative. For example, how is the market of fermented drink? What are the preferences of consumers? You can also be specific about the customer knowledge you need. You may wonder how your competitors provide knowledge for their customers, or how much people drink on a hot summer day in southern Spain. The answer to these questions may be obtained through primary research or secondary research. They can be both qualitative and quantitative. Now let's go deeper into the process. How would you start? It is often beneficial to start with a simple Google search. You can start with some keywords, originate from either explorative or specific questions. You can expand or adjust your keywords while researching along the way. Alternatively, you can also start research at certain places. It can be the website of your customer, for example, the supermarket chain. It can also be their annual reports, which are often publicly available. You can catch quite some information these days on the news, especially into the food industry. For instance, what is the current drinking trend? What is considered to be healthy? Press releases are useful to know the recent activities of your customers. Increasingly, social media becomes a dynamic arena to collect customer knowledge. With the right hashtag or location information, you can access lots of information through images, videos, and texts from all around the world. Blogs and online forums are the other virtual spaces for collecting information. You can often interact with the contributors through these platforms. So in this way, you are given the possibility to do primary research. If you need to know the demographics of a region or the general trend in European Union, you can go to databases such as EU, United Nations, or OECD that are publicly available. Research papers are also a good source for understanding your customers. So in this process, you may encounter different types of data, which include texts, photos, videos, audios, or numbers. You may often need to gather knowledge about and from your customers through primary research, especially if the customer you are interested in is also your consumers. Through primary research, you can gather qualitative data through interviews, focus groups, or ethnographic fieldwork, or quantitative data from surveys, questionnaires, or polls. You may also do experiments with your customers and see how they react to your products and services, through which you may obtain both qualitative and quantitative data. You can choose to engage in face-to-face interactions or through phone calls or online channels to conduct both qualitative and quantitative research. It is quite common to send out surveys and questionnaires through emails. The information you gather may vary from photos, videos, audios, to numbers and texts. Since it takes time, human resources, and economic resources to engage in primary research, it is therefore important to consider why you need to do primary research yourself. Can you acquire the custom knowledge you need through secondary research? Do you have the needed resources in-house? Once you have done your research and gathered a lot of data, what should you do? One way to make sense of the data is by using the empathy map. After you have collected both secondary and primary data, you try to create a persona. Imagine what the person, your customer, may see and hear, say and do, think and feel. What is his or her pain and gain? It often works better if you can be specific by giving the person a name and relevant demographic information. It is also recommended to come up with stories and scenarios based on the information you have collected. In this way, you will be able to be in your customer's shoes and try to see things from his or her point of view. However, it is not enough to just be in their shoes. It is important that you can reflect upon what these personas actually tell you. What should you do in order to improve your products and services for the better for your customers? It may seem to be an exhausting process to accumulating customer knowledge. You may ask, why bother? I mentioned earlier that customer knowledge holds the key to innovation processes, especially if you are following a human-centered design approach that puts the customers in the center, trying to go through the inspiration, ideation, and implementation stage iteratively in order to improve their life. A human-centered approach starts by asking yourself, what do people desire? What are their hopes, fears, and needs? How can I make my products and services desirable to my customer? Then it needs to identify what are the ideas and solutions that are actually technically and organizationally feasible, so that you can deliver the product services to your customer. In the end, is this financially viable? Can you maintain a sustainable business doing what you do? The goal for any business is to have a product or service that satisfies all three criteria. Custom knowledge can often provide inspirations and answers to these questions. Custom knowledge can help you to identify problems. What we often can see and observe in our society is only the tip of an iceberg. Every phenomenon disguises underlying patterns and trends, which hints to underlying structures and the mental models that we have in a society. If we want to bring transformation into our society, we will need to identify these underlying problems and design desirable, feasible, and viable solutions accordingly. In order to identify relevant problems for you, you can ask these questions to yourself using the custom knowledge you have gathered. For example, what is the underlying problem that the custom knowledge you have gathered hints at? What do your customer desire, hope, fear, or need? What is a problem that you can and would like to tackle? The same custom knowledge can also point to opportunities for tackling these problems. The innovative idea is essentially where desirability, feasibility and viability meets. I hope through this video you have learned how to differentiate customer and consumer, how you can acquire different types of customer knowledge from both qualitative and quantitative methods by engaging in primary and secondary research, and very importantly, how you can use this customer knowledge for the benefits of your businesses. Thank you so much for your attention.